In this chapter, let us understand organizing files as well as folders and compressing files with the Python zipfile module. After completion of this chapter, the learner will be able to demonstrate different file organization methods like copying file, deleting files, renaming files, and traversal of directory or folder structure. The learner will be able to develop simple programs to reorganize the files as well as folder structures, as well as will be able to create the zip files. In this video, let us learn to copy files as well as folders, moving files from one location to another location within the drives, renaming of files and folders, permanent deletion of files, as well as deletion of files which results in archival at recycle bin, and traversing the directory tree structure, compressing files as well as folders, and also let us solve a couple of examples with the help of Python modules called shell utility and zipfile. Python provides a special module called shutil, which stands for shell utilities, which allows the programmer to copy, move, rename as well as delete files from the Python script. In order to use these utility functions, we need to import this module to the program with the import statement. As I said, we can copy, move, rename and delete files. This module provides functions to copy files as well as the entire folder, and the method associated with the library is called copy. Shutil.copy, first argument is a source. This is the path, file path, and this is the destination path where to copy. And we have to specify these two arguments as strings. If the destination is the file name, then the same file name will be used for the copied file, and remember this function will return the string of the copied file. We have one more function to copy the entire folder from source location to destination location, and the method is called copy tree. This method or function will copy entire folder including the subfolders present inside that folder as well as all the files. Let us take up the example to illustrate the copy as well as copy tree methods. Let us take up the example. Here we have imported two modules, the shell utility as well as OS module, and we change the current working directory to the C:, with the csdir method of OS module. Now we copy this file spam.txt to the destination folder, and this function will return the path of the copied file, that is c/delicious/spam.txt. If the destination contains the name of the file, then the same name will be assigned to the copied file. Here you can see this function copy will return the path of the copied file, that is c colon delicious slash x2.txt. As I said, copy tree function will copy the entire folder from source to the destination, including all the files and subfolder present in the given source folder. And this function again takes the two string parameter, the source as well as destination, representing the location of the source folder as well as the location to the destination. Here is an example. Here we copy the entire folder which is specified in the source to the destination. That means all the files and subfolders contained in this folder are copied onto a new folder with the underscore backup, and this function will return the location of the copied folder. Renaming of files and folders. The function move will move the file or the folder from source location to the destination path, and it will return a string representing the absolute path of the moved file or the folder. If the destination points to a folder, then the source file gets moved to a destination with the same file name. Here is an example. Here we move the file, the text file, from source to the destination folder, and now the destination folder has the file which is same as the source file. We can also specify the file name at the destination location, and this is what we call as a renaming of a file. Here we move the file from the source to destination location, and also we give a different name. This is an example where we have a source file here, and we specify the file name to be created at the destination location. Now this file is moved onto the destination folder X with the new name, and this function, as I said, it returns the string representing the location of the moved file with the new file name. If there is no folder named X, then move will rename the text file to a file name X without any extension. Remember, the destination folder must make up the destination with the presence of all the intermediate folders along with the path. If the folders are not present, that means if they are not already exist in the directory structure along with the path, then Python will throw an exception. Here is an example. We want to move the text file spam.txt to a path, a folder ham. Assume that there is a folder, intermediate folder, which doesn't exist here. Assume that there is a folder which we have mentioned the folder which doesn't exist. In that case, the Python will raise an exception saying that system cannot find the path specified, as the intermediate folder is not present in the directory structure which represents the path. Deleting files and folders. We can use the OS module to delete a single file or to delete a single empty folder having no files or empty subfolders. We can delete the entire folder containing files and subfolders with the help of a shell utility module. This is the first method where we can delete the file at a path with the OS module. os.unlink will delete the file. Here the deletion happens a permanent deletion. We cannot recover the deleted file. The second is we can remove the entire folder at a path, and the folder must contain no files and no subfolders. This is also the permanent deletion. We can delete a folder permanently provided it is empty folder. And third is use of a shell utility module having a method rmtree with the argument path will remove the folder at a given path, and it removes not only a folder, it removes all the files contained in it, all the subfolders and other folders present in the subfolders, all are removed. And again, this deletion is permanent, means that we cannot recover the deleted items later on. Here is an example where we delete all the files with the extension rxt. Here we use a OS module with the method unlink. For all the file names in the list directory, this returns a list of all the files, and we check whether the file extension is .rxt. If the file name ends with this, try to remove that file. Safe delete with the send to thrash module. As I said, the rmtree function irreversibly deletes all the files and folders. It means that we cannot recover the deleted files as they are deleted permanently. A better option is to delete a file and folder so that they remain in a recycle bin or a thrash. For that we have to use the third party module called send to thrash module, and we need to install that module by running pip install send to thrash. If we delete the files and folders with this module, still we can recover the deleted items from the recycle bin or thrash folders of the operating system. Here is an example. We import a module and we create a file, a text file, and then we delete that file by specifying the function send to thrash. Here this send to thrash is a library module, and dot send to thrash, this is a function which takes the argument the file path. Here we have used the file name present at the current working directory, and this file is deleted, not permanently, deleted and moved onto the recycle bin so that we can recover if needed. Walking a directory tree, it means traversing the directory tree structure. If we want to rename every file in some folder and every file in subfolders present in a given folder, what we have to do is we have to traverse this directory tree structure by visiting each of the file, and this process is little tricky. Fortunately, the Python provides a good and very easy to use function to handle this directory tree traversal. The function is os.walk function. It takes the path of a folder as an argument, and if we use this function along with the for statement, it will return three values for each of the iteration of the for loop. Let us see what are these three values, and let us understand by taking a suitable example. The three items that are returned from os.walk function are: one is the current folder name at a given iteration, and list of strings representing the folders in the current folder, and list of strings representing the files in the current folder. Let us take up a simple program to illustrate the use of os.walk function on a directory tree structure. We have to import the os module, and as I said, os.walk function takes the argument which is the source folder name, source in the sense the folder name, where we want to traverse all the subfolders and the files, again subfolders of all these folders recursively. This function, as I said, returns the three items on every iteration. First item is the name of the current folder, that is recognized for the given iteration, and list of strings representing all the subfolders present in that current folder, and list of strings representing all the file names present in the current folder. And this program will just display all the current folder name, the folder name that is recognized for a given iteration, and this for loop will display all the subfolders present in the current folder for each subfolder in subfolders. Similarly, all the file names present in the list of file names we are going to display, and this for loop will be executed as long as all the folders are traversed and all the files are touched by the os.walk. And that's why I said this function is very easy to use function. We don't have to recursively traverse all the subfolders and files. The os.walk function itself traverses all the folders recursively through the mode of a for loop. This is how we can use this os.walk function to reach all the files present in a nested directory tree structure. Compressing files. File compression is very important mechanism to reduce the size of file as well as folder in order to transfer the files and folders over the internet. And zipfile is one such mechanism which encapsulates multiple files and folders in a handy way, and we can transfer these files, zip files, as a single package or archive file to other locations over the internet. And to read as well as to create these archive files, zip files, Python provides a special library or a module called zipfile. Let us understand how to read the zip files with the help of zipfile module. In order to read the contents of this archive file, zip file, first we need to create a zip file object. Remember, Z is capital, F is capital. And this zip file objects are very similar to file objects or file handlers, wherein these zip file objects contain a value which is used, which is used for the interaction from the program to the file. To create a zip file object, we need to make a call to a zip file function by passing the zip file's file name. Note that the zip file, the lowercase, is the name of the Python module, and the zip file where Z and F are capital is the name of the function or the method. The zip file object has a method called nameList, which returns the list of strings containing the name of all the files and the names of folders present in the given zip archival file. If you want to extract the information pertaining to these files and the folders, what we have to do is we have to pass these strings to the zip file object method called getInfo. This will return the zip info object related to the given file or the folder. And what is this zip info object? Zip info object contains the attributes like the size of the file in bytes, the compressed size of a file in bytes, etc. Note that zip file object represents the entire archive file, zip file, and zip info object represents the information related to a given file or a folder in the archive. Let us take up the example code. We import the module zip file and OS, and we change the directory from current working directory to C drive, and we create the zip file object that is called example zip by making a call to a zip file of a module zip file by passing the name of the archive file example.zip, and this example zip is the zip file object. And as I said, zip file object has a method called nameList. This is the nameList. I am making a call to a nameList. This returns strings representing all the files as well as the folders present in the zip file, that is example.zip. And if you want to get the information about the particular item within the zip file, we have to use the zip file object example.zip with the method getInfo, and we have to pass the string representing the item that is returned in the from the name list. For example, we want to know the size of the spam.txt. We have to pass that as a spam.txt as an argument to the get information, and this will return an object called zip info object. So spam info is a zip info object, and which has got a number of attributes. You can read the file size, you can read the compressed size, etc. And finally, you can close this zip file object. This is how you can read the contents of a zip file. You can get the information about the items present in a zip file like file size, compressed size, etc. Extracting the items from zip files. We have a method called extract all, which is associated with the zip file object, which will extract all the files and folders present in a given zip file, and it extracts into current working directory. Optionally, we can pass a folder name as an argument to the extract all function. In that case, all the files and folders present in a zip file are extracted into the folder that is specified in the extract all method instead of dumping the contents onto the current working directory. If the folder passed to extract all method does not exist, then that particular folder will be created. Here is a simple program. We create the zip file object and then we invoke a method extract all, and this method will extract all the contents of a zip file example.zip into the current working directory. We have one more method called extract. This method again it is associated with the zip file object. Extract the single file from the zip file. Remember, the string that you pass to the extract method must match to one of the strings in the list returned by the name list method of the zip file object. Otherwise, it will generate an exception. Optionally, you can pass the second argument to the extract to extract the file into a specific folder instead of current working directory. If that second argument folder doesn't exist, then the Python runtime will create that folder. And remember, the value of extract method or function returns the absolute path to which the file was extracted. Here is an example. We want to extract only a spam.txt, and now this file is being extracted into the current working directory, and the absolute path of that file is being returned by this extract function. In this second example, we are specifying the folder also in order to extract the spam.txt, and this now file is being extracted into the specific folder. Creating and adding to zip files. We can create our own zip files, compressed files. In order to create such zip files, we must open the zip file object in write mode by passing the W as the second argument. And in order to add the files onto the zip archive, we have to use the write method of the zip file object, and we have to specify the file path within the write method. When we do so, the Python will compress the file at that path and adds it to the zip file. Remember, the write method's first argument is the string representing the file name to be added, and the second argument is a compression type parameter which tells the computer or the Python runtime which algorithm to be used to compress the file. And always try to set this value, this attribute or a parameter, to a value zip underscore deflated. Here is an example. We create a zip file object. This is a new zip file that we are interested in to create the current working directory, and we have to pass the second argument as a W, and new zip is the zip file object, and we have to invoke the write method onto the zip file object by passing the file to be included onto the zip file, that is spam.txt, and this is a compression algorithm to be used. And when we call this write method, automatically Python runtime will compress this start.spam.txt and adds that compressed file onto the zip file that is being created with the name called new.zip. Remember that just as with writing to files, the write mode will erase all the existing contents of a zip file if you open a existing zip file on write mode. If you want to add additional files onto the existing zip file, then instead of using W, pass append A as the second argument while creating the zip file object, so that we can add the compressed files to the existing zip file with the append mode. Now let us take up the examples. First example is to rename all the files with file names having American style dates to European style dates. Let us try to understand the problem. Let us say we have thousands of files in a folder with the file names including containing maybe somewhere in between middle the dates of the format, month, day and the YY. And we want to rename these file names by retaining the contents, file name contents, the file name, by changing the date format to DD, MM, YY. What we have to do is first we have to search all the file names having this date format. Other files we don't have to touch. Only a file names having this date format with America style, and we have to rename these file names by retaining the rest of the file names as it is by just swapping DD and MM so that it makes it to European style date format. Let us draw the solution to this problem. Let us see the solution to this simple problem. There are 4 steps. First thing is we need to create a regular expression which will identify the American style dates present in the file name, wherein file name contains American style dates as well as other text. Next is find all the files present in a working directory, current working directory, by using a list dir method of OS module. Then loop over all the file names written from this list dir method, and let's check whether the file name has American style dates using the defined regular expression object. And if the file name has a date, we just rename the file with the move method of the shell utility library. Let's take up the first step, creating a regular expression. In order to write a program, we need to import 3 libraries: shell utility, OS and regular expression. This is the regular expression object that we create to match this American style dates. We use the multi-line regular expression, that's why we pass the second parameter to compile method as a verbose. The first match is from the beginning we have to match all the text before the date that appears, dot star question mark, and this is for the month, mm, 2 digit, whether month from 0 or up to 12, either of 0 or 1 occurrence, and 1 digit is mandatory, 1 or 2 digits. Similarly, 1 or 2 digits for the day up to 1 to 31st, one of the digits, and this is mandatory digit, 2 digits, and the 4 digits for the year. Here we are taking 2 constant digits of the 19 and 20, and then 2 digits. Total we have 4 digits here. And finally, rest of the other text need to be matched. End of the string. This is the beginning, and we have to match the other text present in the file name at the end of the string. This is how we define the regular expression object to match the file names containing American style dates. Here is a continuation of the program. We retrieve all the files in the current working directory by specifying the relative path, that is dot, to the list directory, and for each of the file name we need to check whether the file obeys the regular expression by using the regular expression object date format. And if there is no matching, then we don't have to process that file, we have to skip that file name. Otherwise, continue. Otherwise, get the different parts of the file name. This is the before part, before the date, and this is the month part, and this is the day part, fourth group in the matched object, and year part of the sixth object, and the text after the date, that is the eighth group. Here is a representation. First group, this is second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth group. We are interested in the before part as well as after part is important. We have to retain this, and then only thing is we have to swap this date part and the month part, and we have to create a new file by using the shutil.move method. Let us see the rest of the code in the present, which is presented in the next slide. Now we create the European file name for each of the file. Still we are inside the for loop. Before part, now we put the day part, then hyphen month part, hyphen year part, and after part. And now we have to get the absolute paths of these files. We have to get the absolute path of the directory by using abs path of the argument dot, represent the relative path dot, and we have to get the absolute path of the American file name, American format file name, by combining the absolute working directory with the American file name that is obtained in the for loop. And we create the European style file name by merging the working directory with this new file name. And now we have to just move this file, wherein first string is the absolute path of the American style file name to the European file name. This is how we can rename the American style file names to the European style file names, which are present in a given directory. For example, a current working directory. Let us take up the second programming exercise. To create a zip file for a given folder as a backup, what we have to do is first we have to import the zip file module and the OS module, which is required to get the absolute path of a file. And we create a function called backup to zip. It takes the folder name that need to be zipped off, and we have to get the absolute path of the past folder name. Now this folder represents the absolute path, and we have to create the zip file name by taking the base name of the folder, that is actually the path, and then we add .zip. And next we create the zip file object that is called backup zip with the help of zip file method by passing the zip file to be created, that is a zip file name, and we have to open that object in a write mode as we are going to create a zip file. Then using the os.walk of that folder, this folder, we have to recursively retrieve all the folders and write those folders onto the zip file using a write method. Then all the files present in the folder name, all the files present in the folder name, that is the file names, we have to write those files onto the zip file with the write method. And remember that we have to give the string which represents the absolute path. That's why we have to use the method join the folder name comma file name. Folder name specifies the absolute path of the folder, and then we have to add the file name. And once it is done for all these folders, subfolders, files present in all the folders, nested folders, we have to close this backup zip file object. And this is the main program where we make a call to a function by passing the, here we are passing the actual absolute path. Even if you pass the current working directory, then anyway we are going to convert that relative path to absolute path. This is how we can create a backup file for a given folder by compressing the files and the subfolder present in a folder. To summarize, in this video we use the shell utility module shutil to rename, copy, delete and move files from one location to another location. We used the zipfile module to read the zip files, to extract the contents of zip files, as well as to create a backup files, that is zip files, with this module. Finally, we executed two programs. One is related to compressing the file, and second one is renaming the files having American style dates present in file names to the European style of dates. This is how we can use these modules, shell utility and zip file module, to organize files as well as to reorganize and compress the files and the folders.